But the word indivisible is still very important, whether it's to the United States government or to any society that we talk about should be a civil society. And what does indivisible call for? It essentially says one society, one nation, one group of people who have united, and that is indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under that concept of liberty and justice for all, what we have seen over the last year, and even beyond that, is the type of discrimination, the urging of getting rid of certain people because of their religion, because of their immigration status, because of their choice of gender identification, or because they are females rather than males, and all of those discriminatory remarks that have been made, and which suggest that we need to be extra careful in the next 4 years to stand in unity behind that concept of indivisible with liberty and justice for all, not for some, not for only the white folks, not for only any particular religion or any particular group, but in a society that is open and willing to accept all, whether or not we agree with that or not. In Hawaii, what word do we use to express this idea? And the word is very simple. The word is pono, to be appropriate. You know, a story that comes to us from our history is that when Liliuokalani was approached, because this Buddhist church wanted to celebrate their arrival in Hawaii and having spent a year in Hawaii, and they asked Liliuokalani, would you consent to our celebrating Buddhism in Hawaii for the first year? Liliuokalani said, of course I will celebrate and I will participate. So at that Hongwanji up in Pali Highway, you know that big Buddhist church? She spent the whole day there to show that she was welcoming people of other religious faiths into Hawaii. Of course, Liliuokalani was not a Buddhist, and she didn't claim to be a Buddhist. But the idea of liberty and justice for all is something that is current, not only among the Hawaiians. I represented many of the people who were being kicked out of Makua back in about 82, after Hurricane Eva. And we went to Waianae District Court. They rebuilt that building that is now the police station in Waianae, and they moved the Waianae District Court into Kapolei. So there's no Waianae District Court, although they call it the Waianae District Court. Our procedure was never to recognize the legitimacy of American jurisdiction over our Native Hawaiians. And in that, what we did was we showed our refusal to recognize the jurisdiction of the court by refusing to stand whenever the judge would walk in or out of the courtroom. And so you had that whole courtroom filled with people who refused to stand. Not only Native Hawaiians, not only Hawaiian nationals, but those who were Haulis, who were Americans, and without denying that they were Americans. So there was one guy who came up to me, an elder gentleman, and he showed me a letter the next week when we went back to court. He showed me a letter that he had sent to his grandchildren in America. And he says, I did not stand whenever the judge walked in or out of the courtroom, not because I'm claiming that I'm a Hawaiian or I'm a Hawaiian national, but as an American citizen, it is my duty to stand for the rights of the Hawaiian people to have their own nation. That's what liberty and justice for all means. It doesn't mean that you have to be gay or lesbian or anything else to stand in support of their rights to be who they are. It doesn't mean that you have to be a woman to stand for the right of women to have equality in our society. Doesn't mean that you gotta be a Muslim to support the Muslims. It means that as human beings with Pono, we have an obligation to support these things. There's so much possible ramifications to what can happen under this new administration. Now, people often say, hey, but don't be judgmental, give the guy a chance. I had been executive director of the mental health clinic out in Laenui for about 17 years. And whenever we were asked by the policeman if this guy should have a gun or not a gun because he had sought services at Halinao Pono, and they want us to predict the future action of an individual. And my response is there is no magic ball or crystal ball or any way of predicting future action. The best way you predict future action is by past action. Another way of putting it is, does a leopard change its spot? Does a person who claims that he's going to do one thing consistently for the last year, and now I'm finding out through NPR that he's been saying the same darn thing for the last 15 years. Does a leopard change his spot just because he stood and raised his hand to defend and protect a particular constitution? Of course not. He's still sworn in as President of the United States with all of his holdings and this violation of the emolument provision of the U.S. Constitution. The people who he nominated in different departments, to head different departments, have already exclaimed or expressed themselves to be holding certain positions. Why would we expect them to change their spots? Give them a chance? You see a crazy man who says, if I get my knife back, I will stab you. And you have his knife. What are you going to do? Give him the knife back and let him see whether or not he will carry his things out? If you cannot measure by past action, then you measure by his words. Some say, don't listen to his words, listen to his heart. How do you hear a guy's heart when his words keep telling you one thing? There's another word called stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't fall for these things that he's going to change simply because he took an oath of office. Okay, power already. I've spoken longer than what I've asked you folks to speak for, but you can speak for as long as I have and recognize that 11 o'clock is coming soon. We have an invitation for all of us to go eat chop suey at the chop suey restaurant, and we'll all pitch in. But please join us. Somebody asked, do they have MSG in their food? I don't know. Go ask the barmaid. All right. Now, who would like to be the first or the second to come up and address our large group of various positions? Yes, please, Mary, come on. Introduce yourself and welcome.
Aloha. My name is Mary Burgess. I'm a student at UH West Oahu, and I've grown up my entire life living in different communities, learning civil rights in an all-black school, living in Japan, learning about history in Japan, and then coming here and having my heart changed and learned about the occupation within Hawaii, and trying to find my place as supporting the community and supporting my keiki, my children, as they grow. The Constitution talks about, was built so that the people could know that they could fight back against the government and tyranny. Our presidents, previous presidents have spoken out about this, but in our schools, when we learn about these movements, you know, the biggest tyranny we hear about was King George and the revolution. And then following that, the civil rights movement and the suffragette movement. But these movements belong to specialized groups. They were very specific. The revolution was about everyone, but it was really about the wealthy landowners at that time. We learned about the civil rights movement, and it was very specific and it was important. And the suffragette movement was about women, but more specifically, white women, because black women got left out in the suffragette movement. But we need to teach our students and our keiki the importance of fighting back even the small victories, that we as people need to stand up and support each other, and that there are little victories. There are people coming together and standing out against the government, and our schools just don't teach that. They teach those big moments, but we need to know, because now people don't fight back. They just accept and they trust in the government. And the government's there for us, and we should be able to trust it, but the government should fear us also. And we need to support one another. And when I look at Donald Trump getting elected, and I hear people I know speaking about, as Uncle Hayden said, you know, oh, give him a chance. But the things he says and the rhetoric he spews, and the people who come out to his rallies and to support him, you know, I was a little surprised at how out of touch America was with the realities of our neighbors and the things that people are living through in their lives. And I feel like it is giving a place for support and recognizing that if the community wants to band together, if they don't want to be labeled as bigots or get lumped in with those supporters of Trump who do spew derogatories and slurs, then it's our responsibility to educate our neighbors and our friends on the consequences of these actions, on the consequences of these words, and to stand and to really learn when to listen and support one another. And so for me, the next 4 years, as scary as they are, and watching and knowing that they're scarier for many of my neighbors and my friends, I'm going to spend the next 4 years doing my best in school so that when I get my degree, I can go out there and try to fix some of the damage that's being done, and to support my neighbors as they do the same, and stand together and just resist and make sure that we are together the next 4 years.
Who would like to speak next? Notice I say next because my expectation is that all of you will have the opportunity to say something. Miss Awana, I saw your finger move. Okay, please. Come.
Because I believe in women's rights, the right to get equal pay for equal work. I believe in their right to do with their body what they choose. I believe in Medicare and Medicaid, and I don't want those things taken away from us. I believe in good prevailing evil, but now I'm praying to God that that is true. Healthcare is so important. My husband was on dialysis for 8 years. My granddaughter had a kidney transplant. Without the health insurance that we had, and a lot of that was pre-existing conditions, I don't know what we would
Charmaine walking in New York City at the United Nations building. I was supposed to go meet this lady because my wife was going to address one aspect of the United Nations, and I didn't know who this woman was. They say that in Hawaii, when a child is born, a child is actually born with two spirits, not one spirit. One is deeded from our ancestors so that every child has its own spirit. And then you carry a personal spirit with you. And as being a member of the U.S. military, just before they kicked me out, that's another story. As I travel to different places around the world, you notice this, what we call a George Ariyoshi eyebrow. Actually, it's a secret password that the Filipinos developed as to form the resistance. And as they would see each other on the street, they would lift their eyebrow. In Hawaii, what we did was we used a different way of identifying our loyalty, and that was with the greeting, aloha aina. Aloha aina means your loyalty, your allegiance to Hawaii as a nation, in the old way. But in terms of the spirit, when you recognize another person and you go like that, or you look at them in the eye and you know that there's certain something that relates. I cross in the street and there's a lot of people on the street, right? And then I see this beautiful woman. And she looks at me. Now I don't know if I stared at her because of her beauty or because there was this Hawaiian connection. But then she says, hey you, and then it started that way. And I say, and you, and then we met. But she's been in Hawaii for the last 11 years, returning to Hawaii. And so, this is Charmaine Crockett.
Hi, everybody.
Aloha.
You know, we have two aspects to ourselves. We have our, at least for myself, we have our spiritual self, where we know to a certain extent that this may have needed to happen for us to see the truth of what our fellow Americans and non-Americans truly feel. We're able to see privilege that makes us feel sick to our stomach, the privilege out there. And it's there. It's no longer hiding. We have a government that is completely controlled by people who don't think cruelty is a bad thing, who think that justice is just for them, right? So when I think about the next 4 years, I think about the centuries of people who've already lived in darkness, who have lived in hell. I mean, you know, when I hear my friends and colleagues say, oh my God, you know, this is going to be living hell for us. Well, you know, it's been a kind of a living hell for millions of people throughout the world in different times. And we happen to be living in the belly of the beast, and the belly of the beast is starting to eat us, right? And that's something that I think that we are not used to, right? And we are used to civility. We kind of know that some of the people we know are kind of racist and really don't like it, but you know, there's such niceties that we have kind of nourished over the years that we really don't have to call them out on it, and they don't have to speak the truth. I actually believe, I mean, aside from my apocalyptic dreams I have, you know, I had this one dream last week, and I woke up, and I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because the dream was about waking up, and the entire street where I live in Alewa Heights was colonized by these little weird humans. I mean, it completely taken over, and I was freaking out. You know, I was, God, well, you know what? It kind of feels like that. At the same time, it feels like an opportunity for us to be the very best we can be. I think a lot of people are not resisting those dark urges. You know, we all have our little demons inside, right? And we have tools, though, to transcend them, whether it's jealousy or envy or whatever feelings we have. We do have spiritual tools to transcend them, and most of us do transcend them. But this is like, you know, we now have permission to kind of be a little dark and ugly, nasty, and at the same time, we have this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to be beautiful, to be truly beautiful, to be really gorgeous to each other, because we know that love is at stake. Whatever democracy we had before, which, you know, we've always had to fight for those little pieces, is really at stake now. And I mean, I'm a baby boomer, and I have, I'm nuclear, every protest for 30 years. I've been at the major ones, and I've been protesting, and I'm a little tired as a baby boomer, I want to retire, I want to do my little artwork, write a little novel, and I don't know if I have it in me. I don't have any more anger left in me, but what I do know is that lots of us have a lot of love within us to share with the world, and I think that that's what we have to do while working in wherever I happen to work in disabilities and work for marginalized people at the university, and we have to keep doing that, and we have to do it better. And I believe we have to love more. And we can't force feed the love, but I think it's within all of us. The light is with all of us. I've seen people who have been kind of watching too much Netflix the last few years that are now getting out on the streets and getting active and doing all these wonderful things. And I think we're going to see more of that. We're going to see people come truly alive to resist this, whatever you want to call it. Thank you.
Well, let me explain what we're doing, and we're just asking people to come up and say a few things that they would like to share. So, take a rest for a while. Good to see you. Let me ask if there's any others who would like to be our next speaker. Sir, please.
One is for the camera, and the other is for the camera was cool. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Herb. I came here about 12 years ago. I lived on with my plantation, so I feel I'm a little bit part of this island, and I really love it here. And in my 70-something years, I've seen a lot of things happen, a lot of good and a lot of bad. And I've learned to look at the bad stuff that happens to me and try to find the gift in there. Because if you look hard enough in things that are happening, you will see a gift eventually. It may not pop up right away, but if you look at things long term, how they worked out, in my life anyhow, I've never failed to find a gift. Especially when I take responsibility for my part of what happened. So, and I hope our nation will start doing that now. Actually, I'm a little, I haven't seen a presidential person like Trump before in my years. He's one of a kind. He's saying a lot of things. In my opinion, he's an egomaniac, and he will do anything to get what he wants. I think that's what he did to get elected. He said anything that he had to say to get people behind him. And he really tapped into a lot of hate, a lot of dissatisfaction. And I'm hoping that that's a minority. But as far as this election went, it wasn't a minority. Well, it was a minority, but our system still gave him the president. I mean, as an example, we can look at, from what I understand on the west side here, the Laenui coast, what, 10%, 20% of the people actually vote. I mean, so in essence, you can say one way that, you know, we got what we deserve. So what do we do with it? You know, you people coming out here is a good sign. You know, you're disturbed by what happened. Maybe you'll get more people involved and we can have a good outcome with what's going on. But I'm an optimist, okay? I look at Trump, he's an egomaniac. He can say whatever he wanted to say to get elected. He did that. And that's fine. That's allowed by our country. We have a democratic system. Anybody can almost say what they want. But, that's fine. We can demonstrate, we can do what we want. And from that point of view, we're really lucky because there aren't a lot of countries around the world that give that to their citizens. So from that point of view, we're all lucky in that regard. Okay, so now Trump got elected. He's actual president. He got what he wanted. What's he going to do now? He's an egomaniac. He wants people to like him. Okay? And he says he's going to make this a great country. Okay? You got to look at the definition of great. His great might be not the same as yours, but, you know, maybe he's heading in the right direction. And so far, all he did was talk. And I can't condemn people for talking. I mean, that's, you want to say that's un-American, you know? But now he's got to do something. And that's where, what do they say, the rubber hits the road. What's he actually going to do? And that's what we have to look at. That's where he needs guidance. Because he's got a lot of people around him that I think are going to steer him in the wrong directions. Maybe I'm a little too much of a pessimist on that, but I still want to be an optimist. He had to get elected, and all the people he put in positions on all these cabinet things are people that helped him. So he's paying back for the help. But Trump isn't going to let people do things that he doesn't want to happen. And I can't see him giving complete control over to other people. So if the people that he's nominated don't do what he wants to make him a great president, to make this a good country, I'm pretty sure he's going to get rid of them just like he did on The Apprentice, right? I don't like what you did, boom, you're out, you're fired. And hopefully he does that with a lot of his nominees too. And maybe we could get on a good path. I mean, our government for the last, what, 8, 12, 16 years hasn't really functioned for people, for the common person. It hasn't. It's been screwed up, whether it's Democrat or Republican. The little guy isn't there. We've been taken over by these big corporations. And, you know, we have to stop doing that. We got to turn around. This is like, I like reading history books. If you look up feudal England back in the 1600s, you had a king, and then you had the peasants. Peasants didn't own the land, the king owned all the land. Peasants had to give all the money to the king, and that's the way it worked. And that's the way we have this system. If the king wanted to start a war and take more land away from somebody else, he made the peasants fight for it. And that's what he's doing with our people. He's sending our people all over the place. Our government's sending people to fight other people's wars. And that, to me, is almost evil. Well, no, it isn't. I don't like words. So, I don't know. I'm still an optimist. I'm going to have to see what he actually does. He's in a position now. He wants to go down in history as a good president. He has to start doing things. And it's the doing that we can take a look at and see whether we like it or not, or whether we have to come out in full force and start saying so. But it's going to take a lot of people to change things. Because the power elite have taken our country over. There's, I don't know, yeah, I think she mentioned it before. I try to simplify things, you know, in my life. And I believe we can be show that to other people as well as how we take care of ourselves. Or the other part of us is anger, is hate, is greed, is whatever. And some of us have it. We all have that part too. But it's our choice which part comes out. Whether we show the love in our heart or whether we show the anger or the hate. There's a nice sign over there that says hate. I think that's a better one. If we can keep that hate reeled down and make the love come out more and more and more, you know, we'll have a great life. In fact, if everybody made the love come out of their heart, we could have heaven on earth. So that's about as religious as I can.
He didn't expect it, but he got on a roll. And that's what we like. I should say, that you see our camera, you see two cameras, at least two, and then other cameras. Sometimes what we do is we put our programs onto a little television. If any of you who have spoken and do not want your face or your words, not your face, too bad. You can't help me. Use something to the public. For speaking, if you prefer not to be broadcast, let Dawn know, and we will X you out. In a nice way. I've asked Christine, or is it Christine? Kirsten. To speak with us for a while. Thank you very much. This one goes to the camera. It's not just good. We want to hear every word.
Hi, my name is Kristen Awana. My family grew up in Nanakuli. My dad, Larry Awana. My mom, Donna Awana. Donna Awana, we're here actually to celebrate my sister. She's opening a nonprofit autism center here in Laenui. She's having a grand opening tomorrow. It just so happens that we were looking on the internet and saw this and decided we had to make this a part. It's so important, not only as women, as minorities, people that believe in different gods, people that love different people. We've spent so many years, so many people have fought and loved and tried so hard to get to where we are. You have the right to love who you want to love. You have the right to represent what God you want to. It's what this is supposed to be about. And to have a man and to realize that there are people out there that want to take this away from us. These are God-given right as a mother, a daughter, a grandchild. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about all of us. And just because you have this 1% and you're the one who has this money, you think that you're better than all of these other people. Damn you. I'm sorry, damn you. It's not right, it's wrong. And don't tell me that this is close to God that you say you are represented. You're fooling yourself. Because our true God is here to help those that need our help. They're here. Why would you want to tear something down that needs you? That's what we were put on this earth for, is to care for those that need us. My sister gave up a wonderful position because she knew that there was a serious need for autistic services here on the Living side. And that is love. That is joy in our heart that needs to be done. And if everybody just did a little bit every day, just a little bit, we are the majority. Even though this press and this nightmare that we have just begun our first day of this journey, there are more of us than there are them. We truly, truly believe that. And more than ever, we have to stick together. Don't play that let's be nice card and, can't we all just get along? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. For the good of all, not the 1%. I'm sorry. That was more than 10 seconds.
There's so many different themes, very, very important themes that keep coming up, although expressed in different ways. The idea of, the way I formulate it is the word ola. Ola that comes from 3 Hawaiian words, olu olu, lokahi, and aloha. What we find is that the vast number of people, not only in America, but in Hawaii itself, they practice a deep culture that I call dai, domination, individualism, and exclusion. That's the way our economic system works. That's the way our environmental attitudes work. That's the way the whole court system works. That's the way education works. Individualism, domination, individualism, and exclusion. George Bush was a good preacher of that concept. Either you're with us or you're against us. He didn't understand the word hapa. He didn't understand what gray really means. It's not black, not white. And there's room enough in between for people to fit themselves inside. But ola, olu olu, instead of domination. Lokahi, for all of us rather than individual. And aloha rather than exclusion. Is a deep culture that flows through Hawaii that many of us, if not in fact the majority of us, practice. You find it in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our churches, in our civic organizations. And yet when we step into the formal system, we get cast into a different deep culture operating under domination, individualism, and exclusion. The challenge for us and for many other societies is how do we switch from a dai society to an ola society, one that gives life to this society. And I'm seeing that refrain continually mentioned as I listen to your words. The second very brief point I'd like to make is that some of us had believed that we are, and when I say we, I include the United States of America, a democracy. If we are a democracy, then Hillary Clinton had won the presidential election by 2.8 million people. So there are certain things that happens in our society where people elevate rhetoric above the realities. And so what we need to do is continually challenge ourselves to see what is the reality by facts and what is the reality merely by agreement. Some people agree Donald Trump got elected, but what is the reality? So never allow people to say, well, the majority voted and Donald Trump is elected. Yeah, the majority voted for the other guy and Donald Trump got in office. So there's, as we say here, funny kind. Something went wrong, something went buckaloos. And so it is our task to be clear on the prize, to not miscue. Fishermen understand that when they go hunting for squid, you poke the squid, what happened? The squid shoot out all the ink. And so they try to swim away, right? Keep your eye on where the squid stand, don't look at the ink. And that's what we need to do, especially over the next 4 years. So anyway, I hope by now Ijong is ready to speak with us. Yeah, what language will you choose? The Korean language? Or the Hawaiian language? Please come join us. And try to speak directly into.
I'm visiting this place every year, actually for the last 4 years. Visiting here only for 1 month, escaping the cold. So, actually I'm from South Korea. Now we are in the middle of impeaching the president who does not know what is present and what is the role of the president. So things are very complicated. probably we don't exactly understand what's going on. But probably we are expecting that Trump may be impeached in the future, and probably we can learn from us. But things are not easy at all. So once we had million protesters in the middle of Seoul almost every Saturday for the last 3 months. It's a huge crowd, and it's kind of festival we all love. So I go almost every Saturday there. But as time goes on, there are a whole bunch of other things came in, and especially all those rumors and fake news make the whole thing very dirty. So citizens now are getting indifferent of all this situation. So that's what I want to say. I at this moment I really think that we shouldn't think in terms of evil and good, which is very dangerous. Because there are so many people who think that people who think they know are very arrogant and speaks very difficult language. So that's something I'm worried, and that's something I'm writing about. I'm a columnist and also anthropologist. So usually anthropologists are supposed to be invisible, but as a citizen I'm here. And probably I don't want to be in the video, because context is very different. But I'm very happy to be here as a fellow citizens of the world.
All right, thank you. Lily, I had asked if you wanted to say a few words, and so Lily is a member of our community, so please come on.
Hi, I'm Lily Kabinatan, and I am a longtime resident. Actually, I grew up here from the 3rd grade. I taught at Nanakuli High School. I was an administrator at Maile Elementary before I retired, and I'm farming right now. And I thank you all for doing what you're doing. Because I'm not a political person. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. So I need people like you guys to encourage and to take care of our state and our nation. I'm just praying for the best, and I just pray for wisdom and guidance for all of us, and that somehow Trump will get smarter and screw on the head better so that he becomes a better president. Otherwise, we will be following Seoul. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Fred Dodge has been one of the original, not the original, there were doctors before him. In fact, I remember Dr. Chow, which Fred doesn't remember. He was the horse doctor that we had to go to, the veterinarian. But Fred isn't a horse doctor, and he actually, for a period of time, saved community comprehensive health clinic when he acted as the chief executive director, and he's been in many different positions, as well as leading our marches through Makua and the rest. A warrior here in Hawaii. Fred, could you share some of your experience, your wisdom, and even your medical knowledge?
Sure. Just take all your clothes off. Just take all my clothes off for an examination. You're welcome. You want to hang on to this one? Nice. Okay. Nice.
got a hold of the other one.
I want to make a comment on the lady who's supposed to be sitting next to me. Egypt. And that is, I really appreciated what you said, especially that you are a citizen of the world. I feel the same way. And I really appreciate those who look upon the world as their primary home. And maybe we should get away from this nation business. Because what I would like to make a plug for is world peace. Peace in the world. I think it's good what we're doing because I think Donald Trump is a great danger to peace in the world. And what really scares me is his lack of fear of using nuclear weapons. That would be a disaster. It would invite retaliation, without a doubt. But anyway, yeah, I would make a pitch for peace. I've been involved with peace much of my life. It's what I think we need the most. So I'll keep it short. Thank you very much for that. And you want me to call the next one up? Who you said?
I will.
You will. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Okay, I have a test question for all of you, a quiz. Who said, with regards to nuclear weapons, if we got them, why can't we use them? Thank you, Fred, for reminding us about the idiocy we are about to engage in. And another health worker in our community is Karen Dodge. Karen has been in the community. We went to high school together, and we both returned back into the community and has been agitating for human rights, freedom, and she has now been an active member of the Laenui Women of Laenui, and previously with the Laenui Women Support Group. Yep. So Karen, come and join us.
Aloha everyone, and I don't have anything unique to say because for me it's almost, you know, when you're told you have a terminal illness, number one, denial. I'm still at that stage, you know, and then the next one is somehow you have to accept it. And then you have to come to terms with it. And I'm afraid my poor husband has had to hear me, you know, haranguing about this moron, you know, this idiot. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if he was just a bigot, but it's a number of things. Racist, sexist, misogynist, anti-Muslim, you name it, liar, billionaire that doesn't pay taxes. I mean, it's almost ridiculous, I would say, evil. And I guess for me, I don't know how long I'll be around. I'm concerned about our children and grandchildren, and that this is the example they will see as how you succeed, doing all of this nasty stuff, and that's how you win. And it really, it's heartbreaking for me that we've come to this, and I don't, you know, I don't understand the complexities of how this whole thing unfolded, and my guess is that we who are in Hawaii are very fortunate. We're sort of in this beautiful place, and things are reasonable. You can actually advocate for things, and it may happen, it may not happen, but we have a discussion. that make sense. So I feel kind of still kind of like it's crazy. The whole thing's nuts. And I have to speak up for women. You know, women and healthcare. I think that if you're not in the healthcare field providing healthcare, you may not, it's like us living near the ocean. If you don't live near the ocean, perhaps you don't see the litter and the pollution and things. You also may not see the beautiful, awesome beauty of it as well. So everything is two-sided. But in the healthcare field, I never saw so much uninsured. You know, we would slave over someone's diagnosis, slave over a healthcare plan, come up with medications, the whole bit, you know, how to store the meds, how to give it, only to find out patient doesn't have medical insurance that'll pay for the meds or the referrals, or have a refrigerator, or have a calendar or a watch or something to help them. But number one, uninsured. So I think that if you're not in that situation, it's invisible. But we did have huge numbers of uninsured, young, old, all ages, or underinsured, where it didn't cover something. So I think the danger of losing the strides that have made forward with regard to affordable care, granted lots of defects that could be resolved with reasonable people with good intention. I fear the loss of that for the 20 million plus. I think it's closer, it's higher than that. And also for women, I think the attitude of what we witnessed during the campaign, where it was something to be proud of, to assault a woman or to grab her, you know, and make fun of it, and that's okay because that's what guys do in the locker room. And I think that attitude stinks. Yeah. And it should definitely not be something to be proud of, or something that our people should be taught, or that's okay. So from a woman's point of view, it's disgusting, and I can't think of any worse word. You know, I can think of worse words, but it's not something I could say in public. But also reproductive rights, total, complete reproductive rights. I mean, that's what we need, and it's about time. I mean, I've had teenagers as well as older ladies that didn't have access, and that's, you know, it was totally unfair. It shouldn't be only people with money. It should be a right, a total right. And that, I'm not speaking from the Women of Laenui because we are a nonprofit. I'm speaking as a woman, as a mother, daughter, and everything that a woman is, auntie, that, you know, women have rights, and we love our men, but we need to stick up for ourselves at this moment and throughout. I don't know if I'll be around when, you know, the next 4 to 8 years, but I think that wherever we are, we need to speak up and take a stand here. I mean, this is evil. This is like the evil empire, in my opinion. Anyway, now that I've ranted and raved, thank you very much. Mahalo.
First of all, I take umbrage at you folks gotta go. Okay. Thank you for coming. Aloha.
Thank you so much.
I take umbrage at the belief that everything Donald says is not true. he has said something that was very true. He said, beware, the election is rigged. The second thing he said was that he has a propensity to grabbing women in their genitals and their breasts. And then he says, no, I never did that. So the question really should have been, when were you lying? But whenever he was lying, he's a liar. So he is the best witness for himself and against himself. All right, brother, you had wanted to...
I'd just like to clarify something in 30 seconds.
Yes, go ahead. Please, come on.
I was sort of straddling the fence maybe on what I said before, and I'd like to clarify that. I did not vote for Trump. My candidate was Bernie. And I was really, really disappointed when he didn't get the nomination. I mean, you know, free medical care and free education would be the, I have a hard time. I mean, that's where we should be going. So I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Bernie. I was at his rallies in Minneapolis when he came there. And they estimated 300 people would show up. 3,000 showed up. So I was really happy about that. And I was really surprised he made it through the whole cycle. I didn't think he would last. I didn't think there'd be enough people out there to support him. Okay? And I did vote for Hillary, just to get on the record. Thank you.
Actually, those disclosures are not really necessary. But I want to disclose as well.
Transparency.
Transparency. There are some of us who cannot vote because we are not regarded as U.S. citizens. But that does not prevent us, while living under a process of colonization, that we cannot participate in the society that chooses to colonize us. So you may see a lot of us, Native Hawaiians and non-Native Hawaiians, who see ourselves as Hawaiian nationals, still with the right to participate, to comment, to criticize, and to try to preserve the aloha that should persist in Hawaii. Our next speaker, Kapua, who is one of those strident women who have spoken up for independence and Native Hawaiian rights.
Aloha mai. Poka, mahalo for having this, because I always support us doing things in our own community. I mean, we could go to Honolulu and be with the larger community, or we can start it in our own. And I think that's what we need to do. Whatever your passion is, whatever it is, try and do it in your own community with a couple friends. That always helps. So regarding today, I happened to be at home listening to the TV when he was swearing in, and I'm like, unbelievable. Totally unbelievable, yet that's where you Americans are at. You know, that's what you've got. Now, I say you Americans because, like Poka was saying, you know, we are Native Hawaiians, and my kingdom still exists. My Hawaiian kingdom still exists.
Ew.
It's just that, like, I think Mary was saying, we're occupied. So thank you for learning the language, because it takes a while. It takes quite a while to get to learn the language. But one of the things that I want to point out in the Hawaiian Kingdom is that in our Constitution of 1864, Article 25, it says that if you are convicted of a felon, and if you're an idiot, insane, or an idiot, you will not be allowed to rule. Now, why doesn't America have some common sense to who is going to be allowed to rule? Not by your money, Not by your twisting of your arms, not by your name, just by common sense. Now, so what I suspect is that Americans are tired of the old establishment, whether it be Republican, Democrat, Bernie, Green Party, it doesn't matter. It's establishment, it's old government. Everybody's going to point the finger at the next guy and blame them and say, we're going to make a difference. Now this person, he was successful in pointing the finger at everybody, to include the journalists. So nobody could stand up in front of him and say that they're right. And I bet that even holds true for his children. Definitely nobody's going to stand up to him if they're on his payroll. And now America is on the payroll that he is in charge of. While he's not the Secretary of Treasury, he still pulls that string. And so I am very cognizant of things that could happen, the things that will more than likely happen. But at the same time, I'm hopeful that this non-establishment person will do something positive for America. Now, I don't think it's going to be positive for my kingdom, so we will just continue to persevere, and we will prevail, because we are learning the truth. And if this big state, if everybody knew that you're not Americans, that you are actually Hawaiian Kingdom citizens if you're born here, and that you could be naturalized if you weren't born here, regardless of what nation, if you were to swear your allegiance to our nation, you could be a true Hawaiian citizen. We wouldn't have somebody like this in office. Never, ever. I'm not saying that the kingdom will be perfect, but I'm just saying that it is something that we, the people, will actually control. And we here in these islands will control how many of us can come in. How much is too much? Do we have enough resources? Do we have enough land? Are we feeding ourselves? Are we housing ourselves? Are we taking care of ourselves? Taking care of each other? Where's the aloha? So I encourage everyone, especially the Kanaka that don't know our history, to learn the history. Fear not, because you've got nothing to lose. And whether you voted for this man or you oppose this man, it is what it is. And then everybody's just going to have to face the consequences of it. Mahalo.
I know some of you need to leave. I want to give everyone an opportunity to say what they wish to say. Kapua, thank you for coming, spending time with us. I know you came very early. It was sleeping in the car. So thank you. Later on, what we will do for those of us who can spend the time, we're going over to the Chinese restaurant and we're going to have something to eat. So please join us. Now, Georgia, you have not spoken yet, or have you spoken?
I just cried a lot.
She cried a lot. And then Lynette,
live streaming.
okay. And Delora, would you like to say something?
My name is Delora Hutton, and I'm just one of the people. And I would like to urge you to not give up hope. If you recall on the news the night before the present Congress met, a secret meeting was held where they voted among themselves to get rid of the ethical rules that would bind them. And the public found out, and the telephones lit up. And the next day, they let it go. All right. That they are watching us. And please come out in your community anytime there is a gathering. If there's a gathering downtown, please go and march in it, because they will see it and they will notice there are actually more of us and there are of them by close to 3 million, if you recall that. So please be active. Do not give up hope. Thank you very much.
All right, Don, would you like to say something? No? All right. Has anyone who had wanted to say something had a chance to do so? I think so. Okay, with that, we will adjourn our gathering with the invitation to go over to Golden House Restaurant. And there we can continue with our discussion, organize, get to know one another. I will be there right after the is in. And so please join us. Thank you all for coming.